10 Best Hugh Jackman Movies. Before we get started, be sure to give that like button a little love and hit subscribe to stay in the loop for future exciting content. 10. The Prestige. Christopher Nolan's 2006 film, The Prestige, is all about the art of deception. The film explores how all-encompassing a performance can be. Jackman was perfectly cast as a charismatic stage performer who is always able to win over a crowd. He showed how difficult it becomes for an actor to separate their stage personality from reality. The Prestige takes place in the 1890s. The illusionist Robert Anger, Jackman, and Alfred Borden, Christian Bale, worked together to create a magic show. They learn the art of conning an audience from their mentor, John Cutter, Michael Caine. 9. Logan. One of the issues with many modern superhero movies is the lack of stakes. If a character can be brought back from the dead or reintroduced in a different universe, what are the consequences of killing them off? James Mangold's 2017 film Logan was the rare comic book adaptation that had a sense of finality. It concluded the story of Wolverine, which had begun way back in 2000 with the original X-Men. Hugh Jackman has always been fantastic in the part, but he gave his most emotional performance in Logan. 8. Les Miserables. The epic period musical Les Miserables is one of the most beloved stage shows of all time. The musical has earned countless prizes in its various iterations since the original 1980 performance in Paris. It is an emotionally devastating story of a man's life through the eyes of both God and the law. Any film that attempted to bring the iconic story to the big screen had a lot to live up to. Tom Hooper's 2012 cinematic adaptation was not entirely successful. The amazing songs aren't quite as impactful when they're not performed live in front of an audience, and the film is over-reliant on computer-generated imagery. 7. The Wolverine. 2009's X-Men Origins, Wolverine, was a complete disaster. The X-Men prequel somehow made Wolverine's origin story feel dull and unemotional. However, the second attempt at a standalone Wolverine film was much stronger. Director James Mangold was inspired by classic samurai films and took the X-Men saga in a darker direction. Logan is haunted by his past. He is unable to forgive himself for the death of Jean Grey, Famke Janssen, in X-Men: The Last Stand. But Wolverine opens with a gripping sequence set during the bombing of Nagasaki, Japan, at the end of World War II. Logan saves the life of the Japanese soldier Ichiro Yashiza Ken Yamamura. 6. The Greatest Showman. The Greatest Showman became a surprising word-of-mouth hit. Despite an underwhelming opening weekend, the film gradually became a sensation as musical fans celebrated the incredible soundtrack. The Greatest Showman may not be accurate to history, but it's a very entertaining musical. Director Michael Gracie did a terrific job capturing the excitement of live theater. The film wouldn't have been nearly as impactful without Hugh Jackman's performance. He was able to make even the cheesiest moments endearing. The Greatest Showman follows the talented performer P.T. Barnum, Jackman, who falls in love with the wealthy girl Charity Hallett, Michelle Williams. They abandon Charity's rich upbringing and move to New York City. 5. Reminiscence. The 2021 science fiction noir mystery Reminiscence is a much better film than its reputation suggests. The film received mixed to negative reviews when it was released in theaters and on HBO Max. While it is very similar to other sci-fi noir films, such as Blade Runner or Minority Report, Reminiscence has a very interesting depiction of the future. Westworld co-creator Lisa Joy creates an eerie atmosphere with her impressive feature film directorial debut. Jackman stars as the inventor Nick Bannister, who operates a device that can access memories. Nick and his colleague, Emily Sanders, Thandie Newton, have a business where people hire them to relive the past. After meeting the nightclub singer May, Rebecca Ferguson, Nick falls in love. 4. Eddie the Eagle. The 2016 biographical film Eddie the Eagle is an endearing yet formulaic inspirational sports story. However, Jackman does not play a traditional mentor character. He co-stars as Bronson Peary, a former American champion ski jumper who left the sport in disgrace. Peary suffers from alcoholism and was never able to reconnect with his mentor, Warren Sharp, Christopher Walken. However, Peary gets one last shot at redemption. The British skier Michael Edwards, Taron Egerton, has wanted to represent his country in the Olympics for his entire life. He has always been mocked for his meekness. Peary reluctantly agrees to train Edwards for the 1988 Winter Olympic Games, but his training program is fairly unusual. 3. X2. While Hugh Jackman first appeared as Logan or Wolverine in the original 2000 film X-Men, the 2003 sequel X2 was the comic book film that fans had been waiting for. It was a deeper, darker, and more emotional film than its predecessor. Wolverine's storyline is one of the highlights of the film. X2 explores the character's origins and features some of the best Wolverine action ever seen on screen. Mutants everywhere are in danger. After the German mutant Kurt Wagner, or Nightcrawler, Alan Cumming, attacks the President of the United States, Cotter Smith, in the White House, the American government agrees to let the evil scientist Colonel William Stryker, Brian Cox, seize Charles Xavier's Mutant Academy. Stryker has no interest in a peaceful transition. He orders his men to attack the school. Wolverine defends the younger mutants in a gripping sequence. He learns that Stryker experimented on him in the past. Jackman captures Wolverine's confusion. He struggles to remember the painful events. 2. The Front Runner. Unfortunately, many people missed out on one of Jackman's best performances to date. Jason Reitman's historical drama, The Front Runner, was a massive box office bomb. The film was released on Election Day in 2018. Perhaps audiences were just sick of hearing about politics. Even though it takes place in the late 1980s, the themes of The Front Runner are more timely than ever. The film explores how media sensationalism can drastically impact political campaigns. Jackman does a terrific job of capturing the essence of Senator Gary Hart. Hart is naturally appealing to voters. He is able to explain complex political topics in a way that voters can understand. After narrowly finishing second to Walter Mondale in the 1984 Democratic Party presidential primary, Hart sets his sights on 1988. His presidential ambitions gain traction once he starts campaigning. 1. Rise of the Guardians. The 2012 animated film Rise of the Guardians is one of the most underrated holiday films of the past decade. Instead of telling a traditional fairy tale story, the movie brings together various holiday characters in a team-up adventure. Essentially, it's the Avengers with Santa Claus, Alec Baldwin, the Easter Bunny, Hugh Jackman, the Tooth Fairy, Isla Fisher, and Sandy the Sandman. Santa decides to recruit Jack Frost, Chris Pine, to the team when the evil Nightmare King, Jude Law, threatens to erase children's happy memories of the holiday season. If you've never heard the brooding voice of Jackman's Easter Bunny, you're seriously missing out. It's a hilarious version of the character. It also feels like Jackman is lampooning his role as Wolverine. The animation in Rise of the Guardians is beautiful. Even though it is obviously aimed at children, the action sequences are surprisingly exciting. Please show your support and appreciation by hitting Super Thanks. Proceeds will go to fund future videos.